Good day, YouTubers. This is NHRA 1975. It's July 25th, 2025, and I'm just going to make a update video on sort of all the things that are happening and and sort of correlate what was happening, some of those previous videos I showed, and explaining some things in terms of the racing videos I had. So first of all, with the very best news is the stutter's gone, and it turned out to be the ignition. That was a problem, and as I said in the previous video, replaced a bunch of the components: ignition box, the rotor slash cap, the coil, and soldered some connections in the distributor cap, the magnetic pickup. Some of them seem to be potentially loose, so that may have been the problem all along, which kind of sucks because I replaced a bunch of stuff I didn't need to. But anyways, it's fixed, which is great. And the car ran a best of 6.624 at 101 miles an hour. That was on July 5th. We had a test and tune day. My friend and I kind of rented a portion of the track, like one lane, for a few hours, dedicated to slick cars. And yeah, so that was the best time that day. But yeah, it's the footage, like the footage I'm taking, I'm also using as diagnosing, which is great. And yeah, one of the things is the fuel pressure. Fuel pressure is, it's steady, like off the line. Goes from, it stays above 6, no problem from the launch on. But something weird happens where in the burnout box it went down to 3. I'm not really sure what that is exactly. I phoned MagnaFuel and they said to make sure the vent line's an AN8. So I've since changed that. That's now an AN8 vent line. And I redid the wiring for the fuel pump with actually a kit that someone had on Physical Marketplace, a brand new kit. So that's got like a better relay in it. I kind of cheaped out on the other relay. I used one off something from the pick-a-pull, like I think it's from a PT Cruiser, so I know that's a 30 or 40 amp relay, and I have the wiring, like this good thick wiring to the actual battery cable output on the cutoff switch, and then that's right to the same ground as the fuel, as the battery. So hopefully that takes care of it. I'll put the camera again on the gauge. I'm gonna use another camera I have, because this is a good idea to get data. Poor man's data acquisition device, or just cameras. So anyways, hopefully that takes care of whatever was going on with the fuel problem. Another thing is the suspension. So I ended up just obviously getting one video of it, the car launching, which is great. My friend's son took that, and what's happening is the front's really unloading to the rear quick, meaning there's the front end's traveling. It's got 7 inches of front end travel, and traveling too quick and putting too much load on the rear. So the guy said at Viking to set these shocks to 60/40 instead of the 90/10s. What's in these are your competition engineering ones. These are the rear versions of it, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. So they do have some adjustability, so that I'm putting this to 60/40 to maybe slow that down. And speaking of Viking shocks, I bought something to control the rear coil springs better. I bought these real nice Viking Crusader series shocks, double adjustable. I installed those, I think, yesterday. Pain in the neck job, really. On this crappy garage floor in the heat. I know some guys even more south than me are probably laughing at me complaining about the heat, but honestly I prefer the heat better than the darn cold up here. But anyways, these will control these way better. And I went with the smooth ones. I didn't go with the coilovers because I can change these, even though it's kind of a crappy job. But the thing about these is, with these two settings, the compression one in particular, when the tire comes down, it's sort of wheel hopping on me. And with the compression setting, it controls the spring more to apply more pressure, so it stays in that position better, so it doesn't wheel hop and then I'm in trouble. The R setting is a rebound, and that's when it comes back up. So these are great. These should make a big difference, and they'll be able to control those coil strings way better. And all in all, this, I don't know what else I could do. This rear suspension, like for an A-body suspension, I don't know what else I could do in the future, but I mean, that's something else. I mean, maybe I've seen a shock tower brace up here that runs from there to the other side, but I'm not going to be putting that on anytime soon. I think I'm hopefully done with the rear suspension for a while. And then another thing that showed up here is this torque converter. It's a Freak Show brand converter. They're pretty good guys. I mean, they've done a lot for me, but I think maybe I might have outgrown this thing. I've got it restalled to 4,800 RPM, and it really seems to be slipping. So I'm really thinking that maybe I might need a new torque converter. I've talked to some good torque converter guys, and they're telling me basically what you want to do first is you want to maybe now shift it at 6,800 instead and see how it acts. So I'll do that and see what happens. And after that, I guess I'll go from there. I also did a chassis dyno. And same thing sort of happened there. The converter really slipped, and we actually didn't even get any good sort of data in terms of like horsepower output, because this converter just really seemed to slip a lot. So I'll go from there. From that, I'll go to my next outing and shift it at 68 and see what happens. If there's any difference, and send the video. This guy named Hutch in London, Ontario, he's a famous torque converter guy or transmission guy. He said send him the video and let him and he'll tell me what he thinks. So I'll do that next to see what's going on with a torque converter. I'd love to get a like a Bill Taylor Enterprises one, or even I went to the Syracuse Nationals car show last week, and there's some cool cars here. I'll just show you a few pictures of them. As well, I talked to Hughes Torque Converter. They had a little vendor booth, and I remember I had a GM30 in this car, Hughes GM30, it worked well. So maybe I will go again with the Hughes. The pricing isn't bad, and they recommended the GM94 to me, but that's going to be something for future. Like, I don't think that's going to be the season. I'm going to have to try to make this work or whatever I can do, because it's going to cost, you know, 1,800 Canadian or something. So anyways, yeah, so moving on. The chassis dyno though I did get the opportunity, or the chassis dyno people, to tune this car pretty good, and it actually is not bad. It's consistent. I talked to the carb guy, Luke Siebert, and he said basically he looked at the air-fuel ratio chart and he said put it down 4 jets. So I'll put it down 4 jets. It's a little rich, but the whole idling, it was kind of idling. Sometimes it not too well. Sometimes it would die on me. So they changed that, and with the air-fuel ratio and engine running, it was great. They were able to fix that, so that was good. It's kind of disappointing I didn't get a horsepower, but as I said, the converter seemingly really slipped, so I didn't really have much of an option there. So anyways, I'll work on some stuff here. Also bought these fancy dancy really nice valve covers. They're on Facebook Marketplace. Look at the flange on them. But you know what, the night before I loaded this thing on the trailer for the dyno, all these areas of these were leaking. So I ended up having to change back to the other ones on the trailer. Of course, I had the hood propped up and it fell over and screwed up the fender even worse. But anyways, I'll try to do that. I'll check valve lash. Hopefully that's okay. There seems to be a little bit of a breakup in terms of either the ignition or hopefully not the valve springs at around 6,200 RPMs. Not really sure what that's about, so something else to fix. But anyways, I'll work on today. I'll put the tires on this thing, work on the valve lash, and go from there. Okay, talk to you later, boys, and maybe one girl.